Okay, so I want to just give a little bit of background on the kind of stages of my own learning development and the ways I used to practice it in order to get to this point. So I've given you a lot of different of the ideas and theory behind it, but now I just want you to have a look at the actual ways I've practiced it to get to this point today, which is how you're going to manifest the internal power. Now, initially when I started out at Jim Fung's Wing Chun Academy, and they would teach you to do the form at the beginning, which is fantastic. You know, I love the Wing Chun Academy. I love all Wing Chun. I love all Wing Chun schools. I think Wing Chun's beautiful and fantastic. I also believe it needs to be evolved into the future, which is one of the reasons why I'm making this course, so we can all start to express the internal power that is within it. Now, we started off learning the form, yeah? And you learn all the shapes and you learn all the sequence, and you were sometimes told to use Taigong, which is they called the internal contraction. And they talked about mind force and Nimlik, but I never really was able to touch on it or learn it there. However, there was one very special teacher there who became my teacher for that period, that season, which was Sifu Mark Spence. He has a school in, I think it's Surrey Hills, called Chisao Club. And he was running the Certificate 4 courses, and you know, he to a degree took me and a few others under his wing, and he trained us in everything he knew. He was the one who kind of introduced me to the internal side, and introduced me to Choi Shun Tin and his, I mean, I already knew about Choi Shun Tin, but really the depth of Choi Shun Tin's skill, because he would go there and train regularly. So anyway, the point is that there was like a baseline understanding of the internal power, but it was just a bit vague overall when I started, because it was hard to get the deep information on how to manifest the internal power, which was a part of the reason why I moved to Hong Kong, because I wanted to go further into it. Now, the way that I was practicing it, and this isn't to say that this is how they teach it now, I have no idea because I haven't been back in a long time. I've just been running my own academy and school since then. So it was pretty much you do the form and you focus everything forward and you relax. So you focus everything forward and you relax as you move. And the problem was that it was just too vague for me. I mean, maybe that's enough for some people to go through the movements, right? And just think, relax and focus forward. And that's really a great kind of foundation as a beginning. Okay, I want to be relaxed and I want to focus forward. But it didn't really break it down for me enough to actually grasp how to manifest the internal power. So I was kind of like, shooting in the dark, so to speak. So, I did practice like that. I'd go to a wall, I'd put a dot on the wall, and I'd stand there focusing at the wall, trying to, okay, all right, mind power, when are you coming? Right? All right, come on, I'm waiting. Anyway, so that was where it started, with that kind of approach. Do the form, have a bit of Taigong, relax as much as possible, and focus everything forward, which is actually, once you know what you're actually trying to do, it's actually pretty good. But if you have no idea of the actual foundations of that, the energetic body, the levels of consciousness and energy, how to use the different types of energy, the syncing, the visual, the sensing, how to align with the vibration so that you can actually bring the power out. Without that information, without that knowledge, it's very hard to manifest the skill. To the degree that pretty much no one apart from Qigong's been able to do it until now that people are actually cracking through and having a lot of internal power, even with very little training now with this approach. So that was the first way. Then the next way, as things started to develop, I went to Hong Kong and I started training with Qigong. Long story short, because there was 10 years, it kind of got to the point where you would activate Taigong and you would have an extension through your center, almost as though your spine was elongated without force. From doing that, you would then think of what they would call sing, so rising energy through the center up to the crown around the back of the brain. And then from there to sink down through, so it's kind of from this back part of the brain to then release down through and use that as a control point. And that is a good method to do it. I'm not discrediting it in any way. It's a good method to do it. That's how my master was able to crack through and give us a level of understanding of what was happening with the energy. And it's fantastic. However, there's more. As you've already observed, in the sense that I've given you all the theory and understanding of where you can actually take this. And another thing to keep in mind is that there are more ways than one to skin a cat, so to speak. And there are many paths that lead to Rome. So I don't want you to think that I'm saying the International Wing Chun Academy or Qigong's approach before he passed away is bad or wrong. It's just how they did it. And this is how I do it now, right? So I practiced that method with Qigong. I followed his teachings for a long time, and I still have the essence of that within what I do. However, I've evolved the understanding through what I've been studying with the Researchers of Truth in Cyprus, through actually studying in America with David Hawkins and the Power versus Force teachings, yeah? And also, of course, other things and studies that I've used to enhance learning, which in the step-by-step curriculum, you'll see there are lessons on that, like, persistence, so on and so forth. Coming back to it. So the next evolution now was not thinking of it so much in terms of the physicality, approaching it. So if I had to summarize the difference in my old approach to my current approach, which is getting great results, by far the fastest possible results I've ever seen, is the direction you approach it from and the alignment. So one was more so a physical approach. You put your physical body here, you physically lift the ANS, and you, through your physical center, you rise energy, and then from this part of the brain, the physical body, you relax the muscles and rotate the joints. So it was very physical. Or Taigong, back straight, focus forward, was also physical in its nature, but there was a hint of the energetic, a hint of it, because it's still linked. Those approaches, once again, aren't wrong. It's just a different way. So we have an apple here, right? You look at it from that way, or wherever you are. I look at it from here. Someone looks here. Carlson looks from there. Still the same apple, right? And neither of the views or perspectives are wrong, just different approaches or perspectives of the apple. So, further to that, the approach now that I'm utilizing in order to potentiate the skill faster is thinking of it in terms of frequency, energy, vibration, and alignment. So starting from that place, and then from the mind level, from the energetic level, let that influence the body from there. In the further lessons to go on, I'll be explaining how that actually works in relationship to the initial kind of story of how my master develops the skills. So once again, Taigong, back straight, use no force, focus forward, and you will achieve the mind power, right? And then I believed him, then I trained, and he was him, right? So I'll be outlining how those all link into the different components of the state, because I've spent the time studying on what it actually means to do each component and how to access each one of those components to manifest your internal power. So coming back to it, now we approach it, and now I'd like you to approach it from the perspective of intention, mind. So you're linking to a higher macro frequency, like a higher level, in the sense that your directionality on an energetic level is towards a higher frequency. So like Qigong was, joyful and wise. Next part of that is that you're linking with intention itself. So you uplift your energy and you link to intention. So you start to actually direct the mind through attention, direct your intention with attention. There is a difference. We will be going further into that in this course, don't worry. And also in the step-by-step curriculum it's there, but also you can see it in the Letting Go course too. Now, you approach it from intention, you approach it from the mind, which then links to the actual energetic body. So then you start to align yourself with the frequency of space, the space within your body, and then you move from there as opposed to thinking of doing it in a sequential process, step by step, in a physical standpoint. You know, do this, number one, do this, number two, do this, number three, do this, number four. It's an overarching condition because we're trying to become the state. We're not approaching it from the physical. The physical body does do movements. We're approaching it from the mental and the energetic. And you can even say that you're approaching it from the spiritual. Okay, so that was just a little bit of a background of the different stages in understanding and the current level of understanding that I'm using to help people get this skill in a faster, easier way. Okay, if you have any questions, put it in the community, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.